Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So welcome to the Ekadashi narration. Today we shall be narrating the Saphalā Ekādaśī. So Saphalā Ekādaśī is found in the Bhaviṣya-uttara Purāṇa. Bhaviṣya-Purāṇa is a Purana that tells stories of the future. Not only of the future, but Bhaviṣya means that is yet to come, So we shall begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we thus begin the Vrajavasi narration of the glories of Krishna Ekādaśī or Saphalā Ekādaśī from the Bhaviṣya-uttara Purāṇa. Yudhishthira Maharaj said, O Shri Krishna, what is the name of that Ekadashi that occurs during the dark fortnight of the month of Pausha, December-January? How is it observed, and which deity is to be worshipped on that day? Please narrate these details to me fully, so that I may understand, O Janardana. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, then replied, O best of kings, because you desire to hear, I shall fully describe to you the glories of the Pausha Krishna Ekadashi. I do not become as pleased by sacrifice or charity as I do by my devotees' observance of a full fast on Ekadashi. To the best of one's ability, therefore, one should fast on Ekadashi, the day of Lord Hari. So, there are different types of fasting. There's one type of fasting on Ekadashi that is eating only once at noon. One type is only once in the evening, which is superior. One type is to only drink water, and one type is to completely abstain from water and solids. The easiest type that Prabhupada told us is to eat only Ekadashi food, so which means simple, maybe boiled sweet potatoes, dry fruits, milk, yogurt, in this way. We continue. O Yudhishthira, I urge you to hear with undivided intelligence the glories of Pausha Krishna Ekadashi, which falls on a Dvadasi. As I explained previously, one should not differentiate among the many Ekadashis. O King, to benefit humanity at large, I shall now describe to you the process of observing Pausha Krishna Ekadashi. So here the Lord said that the Ekadashi actually falls on a Dvadasi. Let me just see. So today is dāsa. So here in China, Ekadashi is tomorrow, as according to this here. So this is an app. It's called Gcal. So Gaudiya calendar. This is for iOS. You can download it. So you can see that us here in China, it is tomorrow. I do not know if other places in the world it is on Dvadasi. Okay, but here the Lord says like this, therefore it must be true. Now, the Lord is going on describing how to observe this Ekadashi. He also said not to differentiate amongst the Ekadashi, because this is called the Dark Kadashi. Why dark? Because it appears during the waning moon. So there's a waning moon when the moon becomes darker and darker, and there's the waxing moon when the moon becomes whiter and whiter, fuller and fuller if you want. So one is called Dark Ekadashi and one is called White Ekadashi. But the Lord tells us not to differentiate between both. Pausha Krishna Ekadashi is also known as Saphalā Ekādaśī. On this sacred day, one should worship Lord Narayana, for he is its ruling deity. One should do so by following the previously described method of fasting. Just as among snakes, Sheshanaga is the best, and among birds, Garuda is the best. Among sacrifices, the Ashvamedha Yajna is the best. Amongst rivers, Mother Ganga is the best. Among gods, Lord Vishnu is best. And among two-legged beings, the Brahmanas are the best. So among all fasting days, Ekadashi is by far the best. Okay, so here, the Lord is speaking, saying that just amongst the snakes, Sheshanaga is the best. So of course, Sheshanaga, Ananta Shesha, is actually an expansion of Lord Baladev, Lord Balaram. So he's not to be considered actually a normal snake. He's the bed, he acts as the bed of Lord Vishnu. So Balaram, spiritual strength, comes from Lord Shesha. All the forms of the Lord are equally transcendental, and if we chant any of their names, we derive the same benefit. In fact, there's a beautiful verse concerning the chanting of the name of Lord Shesha. Okay, so this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 25, Text 11. Even if he be distressed or degraded, any person who chants the holy name of the Lord, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, is immediately purified, even if he chants the Lord's name jokingly or by chance. He and anyone who hears him are freed from all sins. Therefore, how can anyone seeking disentanglement from the material clutches avoid chanting the name of Lord Shesha? Of whom else should one take shelter? So here we have the name of Lord Shesha, Ananta Shesha. So just see here how it is said, even if distressed, because there are 4 types of pious men that approach the Lord for a devotional service. In the beginning, we all come to the Lord with some motive. So one of those motive is released, to be relieved from distress. Okay. So that is not pure devotional service, because pure devotional service is freed from any material desire. And yes, being desirous to be relieved from distress is also within the material modes. And here it is said, or degraded. So degraded. There are many persons who come to Krishna consciousness and have a very sinful background. So even such person, by chanting Hare Krishna, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, this is very important. Okay, now before we go to that point, let's speak about distress. Wanted to be relieved from distress. You see, there is okay, here we have Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Text 10. When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the results of his activities in order to free himself from the inebrieties of fruitive activities, his devotion is in the mode of goodness. So if one tries to relieve himself from the awkwardness of material duties, basically of the distresses that occurs, and this especially refers to a grihasta, because the brahmachari, he's got pretty much no worries, he's got almost no material duty. So is the vanaprastha and the sannyasi. So this basically means the grihasta, mainly. So if the grihasta is suffering in his ashram, or he understands that what is this thing, what is this material duties that I have to perform, and I want to diminish the suffering that I'm feeling within this ashram, whether it be taking care of children who are sick, hear the wife complain, or whatever it is. If one performs devotional activities with that aim, he is in the mode of goodness, and that is not pure, because there's some motive. Okay, so, but even such a devotee, if he chants Hare Krishna, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, he also becomes freed from sin. So that is the verse that we read just now about Lord Shesha. Now, okay, for example, us in ISKM, we accept the Ritvik system of initiation as was present when Prabhupada was still on the planet, because from July 9th, 1977, all the way to his departure, Srila Prabhupada implemented the Ritvik system of initiation. Now the GBC stopped that after Srila Prabhupada left, and they put in the zonal Acharya system, 11 Acharyas, and we quickly saw that they were not Acharyas actually, and there was so much fiasco. Anyway, this is another complete other story. So in ISKM we continue that system, we don't stop it, and it works. Devotees are advancing spiritually under the guidance of our Shiksha Guru, His Grace Vrinda Prabhu. So we accept physical Guru. We do not say that there's no need of Guru physically present. No, we need. That is a fact. But since Prabhupada has authorized Diksha through his disciple that act as Shiksha Guru, we feel the result. So Palena Parichiyate, we must judge something by the result. So we do that. Now, how can we hear it from Prabhupada? Of course, there is the chanting Hare Krishna. The box is there, the chanting box, the Mahamantra Hare Krishna is there from Prabhupada. So we hear it. There was one devotee not so long ago, he told me that how can you take Diksha from Prabhupada? He has to be present there to give you the mantra. Right? You need to hear from him, he has to be next to you. So even when Prabhupada was physically present, he was initiating second initiated devotees, Brahmana devotees, by playing the tape. The Gayatri mantra was played in the right ear of those initiated disciples, and it would work. So Prabhupada was not physically next to them. So we heard it from Prabhupada, and then we chanted. Now we can hear it says also in that same verse, even if he chants the Lord's name jokingly or by chance, he and anyone who hears him are freed from all sins. So since we have heard it from Prabhupada and we repeat it, we chant it, we are also authorized. And it acts. When others hear us, they also become freed from sins. Now, Prabhupada said that also in a letter or conversation. Okay, so this is a letter to Andrea Temple, Los Angeles, 6th of March 1968. Is it Andrea Temple or letter to Andrea? I'm not sure. I believe it is letter to Andrea and Temple, Los Angeles. Anyway, so yes, whoever you tell to chant to, it is effective. You have heard it from me and my disciples. Similarly, I have heard it from my Guru Maharaj, and so on and on. Because you have heard it from a pure devotee of the Lord, therefore it is transmitted from you to another. Just as an aerial message is transmitted from one place to another, similarly this Guru Parampara system is working. My disciples are my agents, my representatives. So by hearing it from them, you are receiving it from me. And because you are a sincere soul, those who are hearing the mantra from you are receiving it in disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya and from Lord Krishna. Just see here. This person named Andrea, this devotee of course, but who was obviously not initiated and was fairly new, he was basically asking Srila Prabhupada, is it potent if I ask someone to chant? He's a new bhakta, he's coming, everybody's telling them, you must chant Hare Krishna, telling him. And so he's thinking, I want to help others, I want to tell them to chant, but is it potent? So he's writing to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is saying here that yes, it is potent, because you have heard it from me and my disciples. Okay, similarly, I have heard it from my Guru Maharaj, and so on. Because you have heard it from a pure devotee of the Lord, therefore it is transmitted from you to another. So even though he was not initiated, he was chanting, and Prabhupada said that yes, because just as an aerial message is transmitted from one place to another, similarly this Guru Parampara system is working. My disciples are my agents, my representatives. So by hearing it from them, you are receiving it from me. So actually the potency is there with Prabhupada. And because we are transparent via medium with Prabhupada, when we tell someone to chant, it is effective because it is authorized. We are properly situated. We have taken bona fide initiation. And by asking others to chant, yes, the Lord will accept this process. So Prabhupada speaks of Parampara system as aerial message. Now they focus so much on physical body. But here Prabhupada is speaking on aerial message. Okay, so that was, we went on the side a bit. So all about chanting the holy name of Lord Sheshanaga. Okay, so Lord Shri Krishna is saying that the best among snakes is Lord Shesha, but Lord Shesha is not a snake. Although he looks like a snake, he's the original snake, if you can say. Everything is spiritual in its original form. So Lord Shesha is the original snake. And then best among birds is Garuda. Again, Garuda is transcendental. He is fully spiritual. No material being can carry the Lord on his shoulders. And then Ashvamedha Yagya, Ashvamedha sacrifice. And then best among rivers, Mother Ganga. So he's saying that and then the best of two-legged beings is the Brahmanas. So the best of all fasting days is Ekadashi. O foremost of kings, who took your birth in the Bharata dynasty, whoever strictly observes Ekadashi becomes very dear to me, and indeed worshipable by me in every way. Now listen as I describe the process for observing the Saphalā Ekādaśī. Now, Lord Krishna says that a person who does Ekadashi is worshipful by him. The Supreme Lord is worshipable by anyone and everyone. No one, actually, he should not be worshipping anyone. Everybody should be worshipping him. But he is so kind and he always wants to stress the glories of his devotees that he speaks like that. And not only speaks, he does it. When Lord Krishna was physically here 5,000 years ago, he washed the feet of so many of his devotees. At the Rajasuya sacrifice of Maharaj Yudhishthira, Lord Shri Krishna personally took care of washing the feet of the guests, the esteemed guests. So how, we acquire some material opulence and we become puffed up and we want respect. But what are we? The other day there was some, the water was running and it was quite hot and it was, the vapor was going up, and within the light I could see all these very, very, very small droplets of water just floating in the air. And it was coming through the light, so I could clearly see the vapor basically is an amalgamation, or we can say, millions of small droplets of water that fly, right? So I was seeing this, and I was thinking, this is a bit what it looks like when all the universes come out of Mahavishnu. Because it is said that Mahavishnu, who is an expansion, a plenary portion of Lord Krishna, when he breathes, all universes emanate from his pores and his breathing. So I was just looking at this and I was thinking, only in this little fume here, this vapor that I'm seeing, there must be easily, millions of small droplets moving. So, and it was amazing, and I was thinking, this is so limited because I can see all of them. But it is said that there's an unlimited number of universes. Unlimited. We always try to think, okay, now stop. There's that much, no more. It cannot be unlimited. No, unlimited. It's just, this tiny brain will not accommodate what unlimited is. It's not possible. And we are in one of those little puny specks of dust in the unlimited, fathomable, amalgamation of universes floating in the causal ocean, unending. And we are within that little thing, and this one breath of Mahavishnu is 311 trillion years. And here we are within that small thing. If you open up, it's 4 billion miles, right? This is the size of our universe, or the core of our universe. The universe is much, much larger, but the core where we reside. And within that 4 billion miles, you zoom in, then you come to Bhumandala, then you come to Bharatavarsha, our planet, then you zoom in that little country, and you zoom in again in that neighborhood and in that little street, and then you go in one of the little puny doors there, and then there's a little person there that wants respect. So this is our position. Puffed up for what? There's no reason, actually. There's absolutely no reason to be puffed up. The only reason I can think that why this is happening is because we're so small. Because we're so small, and Prabhupada says, because we're so small, we're prone to be overcome by Maya. So we're here, we're so small, so we appear big, right? When we see somebody next to us, we can compare ourselves. Well, he's not that beautiful, I'm more beautiful. He's not that learned, I'm that learned. But what is the meaning of his beauty? What is the meaning of his education and our education compared to the Lord, compared to the liberated souls, compared to even demigods, even though they are materially conditioned? Compared to them, what are we? What to speak? They're also in that little small speck of dust floating, right? So Lord Krishna, who is breathing all these universes, he comes and he decides to wash the feet of the guests. He does that. No, that is a complete renunciation. This is one of the opulence of the Lord. He's capable of, even though his position is the most exalted, he's capable of renouncing it. Renouncing the position of greatness, So, of course, I'm discussing this. I don't realize these things, I'm not saying I understand the Lord or I realize his pastime or what, but we need to try to discuss these things to try to understand. So he's saying here that someone who strictly observes Ekadashi is worshipable by him. So this is one of the greatness of the Lord. On Saphalā Ekādaśī, my devotee should worship me by offering me fresh fruits according to time, place, and circumstance, and by meditating on me as the all-auspicious Supreme Personality of Godhead. He should offer me jambira fruit, pomegranate, betel nuts, right? Coconut, guava, varieties of nuts, cloves, mangoes, and different kinds of aromatic spices. He should also offer me incense and bright ghee lamps. For such an offering of lamps on Saphalā Ekādaśī is especially glorious. The devotee should try to stay awake all night. Okay, a few nice things here. The Lord is asking, so this betel nut, actually we can offer to the Lord, to Krishna, but we cannot take as prasadam because it's an intoxication. Okay. Now coconut, so here I repeat, if you want to offer, so different fruits according to time, place, and circumstances. Jambira fruit, I do not know what that is. Pomegranate, we know. Coconut, guava, varieties of nuts. Okay, so nuts, tomorrow we can take some, tomorrow, I'm saying tomorrow, I'm doing this a day prior, but I will be uploading it on the day of Ekadashi. So today for you. Nuts, cloves, even cloves, so here it says cloves just like this, I guess the Lord enjoys. Mangoes, different kinds of aromatic spices. You can even make a mix of spice and offer to the Lord. Incense and bright ghee lamps. Now, the devotee should try to stay awake all night. This appears in many Ekadashi stories. Many Ekadashi stories actually try to encourage the devotee to remain awake all night and perform devotional service. Not remain awake all night and watch TikTok, Not like this. To be absorbed in devotional service is the whole point. So one should try. Of course, it is very hard, but some devotees have done it. some devotees, as Bhakta Stephen from Canada, he performs very austere, he can do some quite good austerities, and he did it. He actually remained awake all night after hearing one of our video, and he did it. So tremendous sukriti earned, so much pious activity earned. Of course, it is higher than pious activity, it is devotional service, but it amasses, this sort of sukriti amasses so that we will get devotional service. There's 3 types of pious activity. One is to gain material gains, beauty, wealth, knowledge. One is to get liberation in the impersonal Brahman, and one is to attain devotional service. So that type of sukriti is wanted. The 2 others are not actually proper. Now please hear with undivided attention as I tell you how much merit one gets if he fasts and remains awake throughout the entire night, singing and chanting the glories of Narayana. O best of kings, there is no sacrifice or pilgrimage that yields merit that is equal to or better than the merit one gains by fasting on this Saphalā Ekādaśī. Such fasting, particularly if one can remain awake and alert the entire night, bestows the same merit upon the faithful devotee as the performance of austerity for 5,000 earthly years. O lion among kings, please hear the glorious history of this Ekadashi. Austerities for 5,000 years in one single day. If you can fast completely, remain awake all night, and by performing devotional service. Okay, now, I'm sorry, I'm yawning a bit. I woke up quite early, slept late last night, woke up early, did not have any rest during the day. Okay, so now we come to the narration of the story of this Ekadashi. The Lord says, once there was a city called Champavati, which was ruled by the saintly king Mahishmata. He had 4 sons, the eldest of whom, Lumpaka, always engaged in very sinful activities. Illicit sex with the wives of others, gambling, and continual association with known prostitutes. His evil deeds gradually reduced the wealth of his father, King Mahishmata. Lumpaka also became very critical of the demigods and the brahmanas, and every day he would go out of his way to blaspheme the Vaishnavas. At last, King Mahishmata, seeing the condition of his son, exiled him to the forest. Out of fear of the king, even compassionate relatives did not come to Lumpaka's defense. So angry was the king, and so sinful was this Lumpaka. Actually, when a son is like this, there's coming out of the sex of a man, there's semen and there is urine. So if the son is a useless son like this, he's compared to urine because he has come from the sexual organ of the man, but he's completely useless, just like urine. So it is advised, we can see this verse. Okay, so this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 20, Text 24. The worshipful Brahma first laughed at their stupidity, but finding the shameless Asuras close upon him, he grew indignant and ran in great haste out of fear. So this is when Lord Brahma, in the beginning of the creation, he created demoniac beings, demonic bodies for the souls who are supposed to continue their existence in those modes of material nature. So they actually became sexually inclined towards him. So actually homosexuality is created in this time of the creation. And here it says, in the purport, Prabhupada says, sexually inclined demons have no respect even for their father, And the best policy for a saintly father like Brahma is to leave such demoniac sons. So here, Prabhupada says that if one has got a demoniac son, one that doesn't want to listen to anything, he doesn't want to be reformed, he's simply engaging in sinful activities, best policy is to leave him. Leave such a son. So, Brahma did like this. Now just a quick side note. This is the 26th verse of that chapter, the 20th chapter of Canto 3. Lord Brahma, approaching the Lord, addressed him thus: My Lord, please protect me from these sinful demons who were created by me under your order. They are infuriated by an appetite for sex and have come to attack me. And Prabhupada in the purport he says, it appears here that the homosexual appetite of males for each other is created in this episode of the creation of the demons by Brahma. In other words, the homosexual appetite of a man for another man is demoniac and is not for any sane male in the ordinary course of life. So we are not to support all this nonsense of gayism and lesbian, all this stuff. No, it is a demonic propensity. Here it is said, and it was created by Lord Brahma. Of course, any illicit sex is demonic, but there's different levels. To have sex with another man is clearly demoniac, and that mentality must be created. You see, nothing happens without having been created first. It is not that it evolves like those Darwinists said. It's not that it evolves. It has to be created first in order to be used. So this mentality, this sexual attraction for a man to another, that specific set of mind, that sinful desire has to be created in order for one to be able to impregnate it in his heart. I mean, to manifest this. So that is there, So yes, so here the king, in our story, King Mahishmata, he gave up his son Lumpaka, go to the forest, sinful rascal, So the relatives did not dare to take defense. We have to deal with the king very, very cautiously. Maharaj Yudhishthira in the Mahabharata, he describes how much a king is dangerous. We have to be very careful on how we deal with the king, So, because like this, he can order you to die, and that's finished. So, he's like a lion, not a deva, right? God among men. Okay, we continue. Bewildered in his exile, Lumpaka thought to himself, my father has sent me away, and even my kinsmen do not raise any objection. What should I to do now? So he's coming a bit to his senses. So someone who doesn't understand by good advice, we must use a stick. He scammed sinfully and thought, I shall sneak back to the city under cover of darkness and plunder its wealth. Oops, he did not understand so much yet. During the day I shall stay in the forest, and at night I'll return to the city. So thinking, Lumpaka entered the dark forest. He killed many animals by day, and by night he stole valuable items from the city. The city dwellers apprehended him several times, but out of fear of the king, they left him alone. They thought to themselves that it must have been the sins of his previous births that had made him lose his royal facilities and act so sinfully. You just see the magnanimity. Magnanimity of the citizens. They knew that this is the prince, and instead of wanted to bring him to the king, they just thought that, well, he's suffering the result of his sins, So Vedic culture is so great that even normal citizens are aware of past sins, past lives, future. What kind of civilization do we live in? Nobody even believes. The richest man on earth doesn't believe, This rascal, what is his name? Tesla guy, Musk, richest declared man. Anyway, Though a meat eater, Lumpaka would also eat fruits every day. He resided under an old banyan tree that happened to be very dear to Lord Vasudeva. Indeed, many worshipped it as the demigod of all the trees in the forests. In due course of time, while Lumpaka was doing so many sinful and condemnable activities, the Saphalā Ekādaśī arrived. On the eve of the Ekadashi, Dashami, Lumpaka had to pass the entire night without sleep because of the severe cold and his scanty bedclothes. The cold not only robbed him about peace but almost killed him. By the time the sun rose, his teeth chattering, and he was almost comatose. And during the morning of that day, Ekadashi, he could not awaken from his stupor. When midday of Saphalā Ekādaśī arrived, the sinful Lumpaka finally came to and managed to rise up from his place under that banyan tree. But with every step he took, he stumbled to the ground like a lame man. He walked slowly and hesitantly, suffering greatly from hunger and thirst in the midst of the jungle. So weak was Lumpaka that he could not kill even a single animal that day. Instead, he was reduced to collecting whatever fruits had fallen to the ground. By the time he returned to the banyan tree, the sun had set. So in other words, he was forced to follow Ekadashi. Now, this banyan tree was dear to Lord Hari, was dear to Krishna. So that means that now why amongst all the trees did he choose this one to take his rest, right? So that is due to Agyata Sukriti, unknown pious activity. So the Lord decided to bestow mercy upon him for some devotional service he had done unknowingly in the past. So, placing the fruits on the ground next to him, Lumpaka began to cry out, "Oh, woe is me! What should I do? Dear Father, what is to become of me? Oh, Shri Hari, please be merciful to me and accept these fruit as an offering." Wow, just see. So much piety he gained. So much so that the fruits he collected, he offered to the Lord. Again, he was forced to lie awake the whole night without sleep. But in the meantime, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhusudana, had become pleased with Lumpaka's offerings of forest fruits, and he accepted them. Lumpaka had unwittingly, there's many typos, that's why sometimes here is written unwittingly. Unwillingly observed the full Ekadashi fast. And by the merit he reaped on that day, he regained his kingdom with no further obstacles. So he offered the fruits with real surrender and sincerity. So the Lord accepted. So what is prasadam? What makes food prasadam? Whether the Lord has accepted or not. Now, how do we know if the Lord accepts our offering? There was one devotee once, he asked this question to Prabhupada. He said, how can we be sure that Krishna accepts the offering? Prabhupada said, you should be sure. You must be certain. What does that mean? It means we must know that, we offer with love, with sincerity to the Lord. My dear Lord, please accept this offering, being present in the moment, seeing the Lord, seeing ourselves, seeing the offering, consciously making it. Okay. If we simply offer thinking that, I have something else to do, ding, 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 that is mechanical. We cannot be sure if he has accepted or not. Of course, the Lord is very merciful, but better be certain. Okay, so because of this, he regained his kingdom. So Krishna continues, listen, O Yudhishthira, to what happened to the son of King Mahishmata when but a fragment of the merit spouted up within his heart. As the sun beautifully rose in the sky on the day following Ekadashi, a handsome horse approached Lumpaka and stood next to him. At the same time, a voice suddenly boomed out from the clear blue sky. This horse is for you, Lumpaka. Mount it and ride swiftly out of this forest to greet your family. O son of King Mahishmata, by the mercy of Lord Vasudeva and the strength of the merit you acquired by observing Saphalā Ekādaśī, your kingdom will be returned to you without any further hindrances. Such is the benefit you have gained by fasting on this most auspicious days. This most auspicious of days. Go now to your father and enjoy your rightful place in the dynasty. So this voice, normally in the Mahabharata, it is said that it is Brahma. Now I do not know if it is always Lord Brahma's voice, because in the Shastra many times we hear this in the stories that there's a voice from the sky. In the Mahabharata, though, it says that it is generally from Lord Brahma. There's also when Kamsa was driving the chariot of Vasudeva and Devaki, the voice boomed out again. And I believe that was Brahma also. Now, upon hearing these celestial words resounding from above, Lumpaka mounted the horse and rode back to the city of Champavati. By the merit he had accrued by fasting on Saphalā Ekādaśī, he had become a handsome prince once more, and was able to absorb his mind in the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. In other words, he had become my pure devotee. Just see the power of faithfully observing just one Ekadashi. What to speak of each Ekadashi faithfully. So he changed so much, and this is the very special, power of devotional service, that even a sinful man can be transformed. I know myself, my personal life, I was very, very sinful. And this is what gives me a lot of strength, is that I can see that it's real, How did I change? How did it happen? Unless this chanting Hare Krishna, this reading of Prabhupada books, this doing of Mangalarti, all these things are real. Unless these things are real, how is it that I could advance spiritually? Of course, I'm very low. I have so much more to learn and realize, and I still have my ups and downs in devotional service. But when I look at 5 years back, at 10 years, of course 10 years back, I started chanting Hare Krishna only in 2014. But when I look in the beginning up to now, I can see tremendous advancement, tremendous. At least purification, Of course, what tremendous advancement. That is quite boastful to speak like this. I'm sorry. I should not say like that. But let's say that I was so low that even though I'm still low now, I can see a great difference, So, so he had become a pure devotee. So Lumpaka offered his father, King Mahishmata, his humble obeisances and once more accepted his princely responsibilities. Seeing his son so decorated with Vaishnava ornaments and tilak, King Mahishmata gave him the kingdom. And Lumpaka ruled unopposed for many, many years. Whenever the Ekadashi came, he worshipped the Supreme Lord with great devotion, and by the mercy of Shri Krishna, he obtained a beautiful wife and a fine son. In old age, Lumpaka handed his kingdom over to his son, just as his own father, King Mahishmata, had handed it over to him, and went to the forest to serve the Supreme Lord with controlled mind and senses. Purified of all material desires, he left his body and returned back home, back to Godhead, attaining a place near the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. Very beautiful story. Lumpaka, in one life, was a king's son, then a deboshi number 1, and then again a pure devotee. And then he went back to the Supreme Lord. So such beautiful stories are there in the Vedic Shastra to give us encouragement and instructions through the life of other personalities, pure devotees. So here, another important thing is that the king, he saw that now my son is qualified. Yes, I gave him the kingdom. Not that he's going to be holding onto the kingdom until the last breath, Now the politicians, they never retire. they just hold on tight, until the last breath, the last drop of sense gratification that I can squeeze out of this, I'm gonna stay. That is not good. There must be compulsory retirement. And even not for just politicians, even for us, normal grihastas. At one point, the man has to leave, Not that we have to die in the house. What is that? Becoming old and then the wife and the children see us die? That is very, that is a very low-class death. We have to die first-class death. In the Shastra it says there's two types of first-class death. One is the Kshatriya dying on the battlefield, and one is the man who leaves the family and goes to the forest, and just like here, control his mind and senses, worship the Supreme Lord, and dies in the forest. So that is nice, This is the type of death that we should be wishing, not that we're gonna be keeping our claws into this family life until the very end. At one point we need to know that, look, it's gonna end anyway, so let it be ending in a way that is going to be beneficial for me. Lord Krishna concludes, O Yudhishthira, one who approaches me as Lumpaka did will become completely free of lamentation and anxiety. Indeed, anyone who properly observes this glorious Saphalā Ekādaśī, even unknowingly like Lumpaka, will become famous in this world. He will become perfectly liberated at death and return to Vaikuntha. Of this there is no doubt. Moreover, one who simply hears the glories of Saphalā Ekādaśī obtains the same merit derived by one who performs a Rajasuya Yajna, and at the very least, he goes to heaven in his next birth. Thus ends the Vrajavasi narration of the glories of Pausha Krishna Ekādaśī, or Saphalā Ekādaśī from the Bhaviṣya-uttara Purāṇa. So here you all have merit of Rajasuya Yajna, and at least you will go to heaven. Of course, this is not the goal, right? Heaven. But here, an important point here. Even if someone does it unknowingly. Now, I heard Prabhupada giving the example sometimes that those who are in the hospital, sometimes they are forced to fast, they have got a disease that they cannot eat anything. And Prabhupada said, does that mean that they do Ekadashi? Meaning that it's not Ekadashi. Ekadashi means doing devotional service and being absorbed in the service of the Lord. But here, for this specific Ekadashi, Lord Krishna says, anyone who properly observes this glorious Saphalā Ekādaśī, even unknowingly, like Lumpaka. But then like Lumpaka, how did Lumpaka observe it? He remained awake all night and he fasted the whole day, But if somehow or other it happens to someone unknowingly, then yes, you will get so much merit that will become a devotee. So this is the end of this narration. We hope that you have enjoyed, and we hope that this is giving you some impetus to observe Ekadashi more strictly. So thank you very much. We pray for your spiritual welfare and material welfare. We hope that your Ekadashi is going well and nicely, blissfully engaged in the service of the Lord. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.